Okay, thanks for joining us, Mr. Ambassador. Okay, so start off with around 1,000 people per week are now leaving Ireland due to a lack of job opportunities. Most of these are young, recent graduates who never expected to be in this position. What do you think Ireland's economic future is, and will there be a lost generation of young people who will never return, as the media predicts?
No, I don't believe so. I think that, of course, immigration is not a good thing. It is a very sad thing when people are obliged to leave their country because they can't get employment, and that is happening at the moment. Obviously, I don't have the figures. I don't know about the 1,000 a week. It's not clear to me what the numbers are, but nonetheless, it is obviously the case that people are leaving because of the economic difficulties we're going through. I think we have to look at the longer term, and we have to look at the capacity of our economy to grow and to create jobs. And it's clear to me that our economy has the capacity to grow and is already beginning to grow, and we will see a jobs dividend from that growth in the coming years. And the new government has come in and has committed itself to placing a new emphasis on job creation in Ireland. The last 3 years have been very difficult. 2 years ago, our economy declined by 9%. Last year, it was flat. So we've had a stabilization. But the unemployment situation is still very serious, and it's now the prime goal of government to create more jobs so that this kind of forced emigration no longer needs to take place, and that people, when they emigrate, when they go abroad for other reasons, because they want to get experience and then come back to Ireland. That's part of our experience as well. Many Irish people, young Irish people, go to Australia and New Zealand and spend a year or so there, and they come back with their skills enhanced and their view of the world broadened. And that's a positive thing, but the emigration that happens because people have no choice, that's the one we want to avoid. And the way to avoid that is to create economic growth, and that needs to be done through greater investment and through continuing to focus on export-driven economic success.
Okay, thank you. And given the current economic climate in Ireland, just to continue on that, and the effect of the banking collapse that it's had on Ireland's international reputation and image, and Ireland's previous image as an economic success, which is popular for tourism and tourists and corporations alike, what direction do you see Ireland's nation brand taking in the future?
Well, I think that the brand has to capture the assets of our traditional image, which is of a country that's it's got a friendly people, well educated, good storytellers, economically innovative, creative people who've come through difficulties many times in the past and have overcome those difficulties and have a history of struggle and successful achievement following periods of difficulty. And I think we've got to continue to project Ireland as a friendly country with people who have good skills, who are creative people, and that is the kind of formula that will work for the future. So I think smart, innovative economy, people by friendly, well-educated people who have a capacity to be creative and innovative.
Okay, thank you. And Ireland has experienced a huge decrease in international investment since the banking collapse again, and multinational corporations which previously invested in Ireland are now outsourcing jobs further afield. There have been attempts by the EU to raise the corporation tax, which is among a key incentive for international investment. What steps do you think Ireland needs to take once again to become competitive?
Well, of course, it's not the case that Ireland has lost a lot of investment in recent years. I've seen figures, and you saw them today at the conference, which global figures which say that Ireland is the second most attractive location for foreign direct investment in the world after Singapore. So it's simply not the case that we are losing investment. But of course we need more investment because we have a lot of unemployed people we need to find jobs for, and that requires us to bring in even more investment. We have been successful, and last year was the most successful year for Irish inward investment since 2003. So there was a dip in 2008, 2009, but last year saw a very significant recovery in jobs. We haven't lost any significant numbers of jobs. There have been job losses, but they've been counterbalanced by gains in other areas. The corporation tax is an important part of the Irish brand, and there's a political consensus in Ireland that the corporation tax is a fundamental plank of our economic policy, and I don't see that changing any time now or in the future.
Thank you. And tourism in Ireland has seen a slight decrease, particularly from the UK, which has always been the most common market where tourists come from. What measures do you think need to be taken to maintain this link and to keep Ireland competitive in the tourist market?
Well, I mean, obviously costs have come down in Ireland. Ireland has become more competitive in the last few years. Salaries have gone down, rents have gone down, lots of things have gone down. I've been in Ireland, whenever I go there now for a visit from Germany, I'm impressed by the fact that hotel accommodation is very good value now in Ireland, and much better value than it is in Germany or in most other European countries. So adjustments have been made. We have become more attractive and more competitive, and I think we must continue to focus on competitiveness. I think in the last 10 years we perhaps lost that focus on being competitive. There was a kind of a feeling that we could do anything we wanted to, and that's not the case. A country like ours, a small country which has to compete against other countries, needs to be competitive, not just in tourism but across the board. I think there's now a much greater focus on the need for a competitive country, a competitive economy, because that's the only future for Ireland.
Okay. And in Ireland there's now a slight scepticism towards the European Union and larger states like Germany, who many feel are charging a very high interest rate for the bailout package. And the Eurobarometer report showed that people are increasingly unhappy with the EU. What do you think the future of Irish-German and Irish-European relations are, given this recent anti-European trend emerging?
Well, I don't see any fundamental change in Ireland's attitude towards the European Union. I think that there's a consensus that our future lies within the European Union. We have to negotiate, we have to try to get the best outcome for Ireland from the European Union, but that's to be done from a position of at the heart of the European Union, this idea that we can become a sort of a Eurosceptic country and expect to benefit from EU membership from a position of animosity towards Europe is, I think, misguided, and I don't see any hard evidence. I mean, there's some evidence, obviously, of a cooling, and that's probably to be expected, given that our previous levels of support for the EU were the highest in Europe. They were up in the 80s. It's natural enough that opinion should go up and down, and that figures should fall back from those very high levels. But I don't see any fundamental shift in Irish attitudes towards the EU, because I think most people understand that the EU, which is not a perfect entity, is essential for Ireland's future. As far as Germany is concerned, Germany is the largest economy in Europe. It's our third most important export market. It's the second biggest source of inward investment into Ireland. It's the third biggest source of tourists into Ireland. So those figures speak for themselves. Germany is a key market, a key priority for Ireland. And Germans have a very positive attitude towards Ireland. I said in my speech that there are 2 magazines published in German devoted to Irish affairs, and that shows that there is a sort of a core of people, a large core of people here who are genuinely committed to, or genuinely enthusiastic about Ireland, and visit Ireland on a regular basis and take an interest in Irish affairs. The fact that you can get, there's very large numbers of people in Germany who are big fans of Irish music is another phenomenon that I think is important. So there's a lot of goodwill towards Ireland in Germany. I think Germans understand that Ireland has a banking problem, but that we have a fundamentally sound and competitive economy which will be a positive contributor to the EU in the years ahead.
Okay. And just finally, so far Ireland has adopted a largely multicultural policy, but David Cameron and Angela Merkel have both recently claimed that multiculturalism has failed in their respective countries. While Ireland has not experienced the same problems that UK and Germany have with regards to immigrants, do you believe that Ireland will have to adopt a harder approach to integration?
I think that the experience of Ireland in the last 10 years in this area has been very successful and very positive. We've really seen our circumstances transformed from a country that had a tiny foreign population 20 years ago to one that has now got a foreign population, which is, I think, 14% of the workforce were born outside of Ireland. Now, many of those were born in Britain and so on, or in the older member states of the European Union. But very significant numbers have come in from Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and so forth. And I think that in general that has been a very positive experience for Ireland, and it's notable that there's no anti-immigrant sentiment in Ireland. There's no sort of sense that these people are in a ghetto. In fact, my experience is that people have integrated quite well into Ireland, and that may have something to do with the character of Irish society, that people are more welcoming, and that this also extends to immigrants. So I don't see any pressing problem there in relation to integration. I believe that the people who've come from Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia, they by and large have learned to speak quite good English, so they are well able to integrate into Ireland. They have cultures which are similar to Ireland's. I don't see any major gulf of understanding between the immigrant communities and the native Irish. Of course, these things can change in the future, but at the moment, I don't see the integration issue as being a particularly central one in the Irish political debate. I think our political debate at the moment has to do with sorting out our economic problems, and I think that any integration problems that might arise will be easier to resolve with a strong and buoyant economy.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador.